This episode is brought to you by FOMO. I don't need to tell you that this crazy world moves fast. Yesterday's "that'll never happen" is tomorrow's "what? You're still using that?" Did you only find out the world had passed you by when it shouted "loser" at you as it turned the block down the street? That's not your problem anymore thanks to FOMO, the company that uses the fuzziness of history to ensure you are always on the edge of the future. Look, say there's a new band rocking stadiums for $200 a ticket, and let's just say you turned down the chance a year ago to see this cool band when they were nobodies in a small rundown venue with a dozen other people. Not a problem. FOMO will plant altered photos of you at that event in backdated fan mag articles and even insert contemporaneous records of your arrest afterward for drunkenness and rioting. There's almost no present circumstance that can't be improved by a little editing of the past. So let's hear it. What did you miss? An important meeting with your boss? The chance to marry that really special girl who is crazy about you? Your kids' weddings? FOMO will ensure that you were there, as far as anyone can prove. And speaking of that special girl you failed to marry, use the promo code REREAD, one word, to have FOMO update her own wedding pictures and to mock up the divorce papers for you when you dumped her for a younger model. And thank you, FOMO, for sponsoring the Rereading Wolf podcast. This episode is brought to you by the support of generous listeners just like you. You can learn how to be one of them at patreon.com/rereadingwolf. And thank you, listener patrons, for supporting the Rereading Wolf podcast.
Warning. The following discussion is deliberately riddled with spoilers and unhinged speculation on this nearly 40-year-old book, Gene Wolfe's The Book of the New Sun. You can't read a Gene Wolfe story. You can only reread a Gene Wolfe story.
Welcome to Rereading Wolf. We don't pretend that this is the first time you and we have read these books. We want to understand them in as much detail as possible, and that means considering the works as a whole.
Hi, I'm James Wynn.
And I'm Craig Brewer. So this recap of Shadow of the Con is dedicated to Paul Cook, who had planned to be there with us, lives in Chicago, but had some medical stuff come up. And I told him on Facebook, I'm like, I'll write up a summary of stuff, but I think this is better and he'll enjoy this more.
Here's your summary, Paul.
Yep, Paul, this is for you. Hi, James.
Hi, Craig.
We had a busy weekend. Did you know that? I'm not sure if you were aware. But
Yeah. I did notice. Yeah, I was up chatting in my hotel room with Stephen McDonald till 6:00 one night. So. Yeah,
I left around midnight, and I was like, maybe he'll kick the guy out of his room in a second. But you,
I kept thinking,
in the morning, you're like, no.
Maybe it was better call tonight. But then we were still having fun, and then he didn't seem like he was anxious to get out. So I just
that's awesome. So
yeah,
what this episode is us recapping the Shadow of the Con.
Yes,
which, if you haven't been paying attention, was our little side con at Worldcon that was all about Wolfe for 2 days, actually 3, I guess.
Yeah, well, it felt like amazing how fast that went. I can't even imagine how it was Monday. I said, wait, I got here on Thursday. Wow.
And a lot happened. And it was successful. I think we can both agree that the whole weekend was a success. So much of a success, in fact, that I think we agreed, and Brandon Buddha, who is with Gene Wolfe Literary Podcast, also agreed, and other people who were all there, including Wolfe notables like Joan Gordon and Ada Palmer and
Michael
all the folks who were there, Michael Swanwick. Everybody said, hey, we should do this again. So,
and yeah, I kind of thought, I really believed that this is how it would work. We planned it so that we would always have something going on. But I thought, we're competing with Worldcon. So people are going to obviously, they're flaking. We'll probably have, 3 or 4 people at any given time. Let's make sure we have something for everyone to do. Yeah. But no, it seemed like at least half of everybody was there at any given time.
Yeah, because if you've never been to a big sci-fi con, Worldcon is the con where the Hugos happen, where you get to vote on the Hugos. You have to attend. Well, no, you have to buy a membership in order to vote on the Hugos. So that's sort of the big thing. But it's definitely a literary or a writing-based sci-fi fantasy convention. But during the weekend, there's a lot of stuff going on. There are panels, of course, that you can go to. There are scheduled times where you can have what they call table talks with authors, where like you get a dozen people and you get to sit down with an author for an hour. And, you know, you sign up. So you get sort of like very focused time with somebody. There are signing lines that you can get at. There's all kinds of displays. There's a massive dealer's room. There's a ton of stuff for you to do, even official and unofficial parties that go on all night, and a pageant for cosplay, all kinds of stuff. So there's loads and loads of stuff to go on, which was kind of why we did it. Was we thought it'd be a better draw than just say, hey, come out, hang out with a couple guys for a couple days and talk about Wolf. But if there's all this other stuff going on, then cool. Right. So we had, I think, about 15 people show up, right? And then we kind of gained a couple over the weekend. We were kind of hoping we might gain more, but we never really, we didn't put flyers out or anything like that. But some people would kind of poke their head and be like, what are you guys doing? Why are you talking over there in that corner? And it worked out. So we got a couple other people. Right. It was fun. Like we talked, we had a ton of time to talk about Wolf. Everybody got along really well. It wasn't like everybody sitting around a table and just sort of staring awkwardly at each other. I felt like it was great because everybody who showed up was really participating and getting into it and making friends and doing all kinds of stuff. So it was good.
Fans are the best fans.
Yes. But I think we're definitely going to try and do this again. The shape of it, we don't know yet. Worldcon is actually in China next year, so we're not doing that. But I was looking around. The World Fantasy Award Convention is in Kansas City, I think was where it was. So that's an option. But we thought about maybe doing it with a different con going alongside. But we also thought it might be fun to do something or look into at least maybe doing just a Wolfecon. Kind of like Lafferty. So we don't know yet. We're going to talk to the Glenn and Brandon from Gene Wolfe Literary Podcast, see what they think, and talk to some other people. Stephen Frug was really helpful with sort of jumping in and helping us organize and giving ideas. So we'll talk to him and maybe talk to like I said, the notables and see what we can do. But so I think this was definitely a good experiment.
It definitely was.
So what we wanted to do was kind of give a recap of what we did, what we talked about, so that everybody who's listening who wasn't able to make it can get at least a sense of what was going on, because there was a lot of good Wolf content that came out. And I mean, even I think we even got a little snippet of his biography that nobody had really known before, I don't think. But Stephen McDonald, if it was him, right? Stephen McDonald.
Right. Yeah. He went and found Gene Wolfe's yearbook.
That's right. He found his yearbook from his high school, and it turns out that Wolfe and the sort of famous literary postmodern author Donald Barthelme, or possibly Barthelme, I'm never sure how to pronounce it. They were part of the same class. They went to high school together. Now, Barthelme may or may not be well known to you. He's absolutely known in sort of like academic circles as like a big, like I said, postmodern guy, does all kinds of fun stuff. I know Brian Evanson, when we mentioned this online, he's like, oh, I've taught him before. I never knew that. I can't fathom the connection between them. Yeah. And I don't necessarily know, but anyway, it's just kind of a fascinating little tidbit. Like, what was it about that high school that produced these two guys who have fascinated so many people? But yeah, so we should do just a general recap. So the first day, we got together, and probably the first big thing that everybody noticed was that Nudis Magruder showed up with swag, and he did great. We posted some pictures on the Facebook page of what he made, but he made a couple Wolf posters. He made some wonderful little tiles with the covers of the Don Mates versions of New Sun that he gave to me and James, and had a few extras hanging around. Those were awesome. Really cool name badges. That one was the name tag. My favorite one, of course, was the one that says "I am loyal to the group of 17" and has no space for you to put your own name. Right, like that's the best one.
Yeah, right. And that's the one that people will actually comment on. I will say that they'll just say, "Oh, yeah, Gene Wolfe."
Yep. Yeah. So we everybody kind of wore that one around, walking around, and I put it on my name badge and everything. That was awesome. But a few other things there, and some great other stickers that he came up with. So Nudis, we've said thank you very many times to all the stuff you've made for us, but that was really cool. That just felt, it made us feel like slightly more official that we have stuff to give out. So, but yeah, we met, first time we met actually in Potbelly.
Right. Just out across the street or down the street from the hotel. And they are so nice. If you're ever in Chicago, you're nearby the Hyatt Regency, just stop into the Potbelly and just tell them thank you again from us.
Yeah, and that was fine. That was great. They let us like move tables around and everything. So the problem was Worldcon was, I had spent a lot of time trying to work with Worldcon to like give us some space or doing something like that.
Or tell us in advance how we can get some, schedule stuff.
Yeah, it was
it was a little officious, maybe a little difficult. It's like maybe no one wants to actually be the one to say yes.
Yeah, it could have been that. Like, I got the sense that it was just a little bit more of like, it was a little bit, it was like just on the cusp of too big to be bureaucratic and kind of messy. But the problem was if we like did things officially through Worldcon, then they wanted to take over and like let us like have other people assigned to our different events and stuff like that. And we're like, no, we just want to do our thing. So, but it was fine. We did the first session at Potbelly, but then in the afternoon we found a great little social lounge area that nobody was using, and we just camped out there for the rest of the time, and it was great. We tried to record an episode or part of an episode live. Potbelly was a little too loud, plus the mic setup that I had just wasn't so hot, and
it's just kind of uneven because not only is it loud, but some people are much farther away than
because we wanted to let other people comment, like to do an episode, but have it where anybody of the like dozen or so people who had showed up were able to participate. But unfortunately, it all kind of sounded like this. Yeah, so not particularly good. Plus, I was telling James before we did this, I was kind of off my game. Like, I'm so used to like sitting in a corner in my office, like all alone, talking to a disembodied voice, that it was very strange, and I was very self-conscious, like being in front of people. So,
but I still think it was cool. I mean, it was fun. Everyone gets to see. Well, this is actually what it looks like when you do an episode. Oh, you got to stop and you think. Well, maybe I got to look something up. Are you sure? I'm not sure about that. So
not as brilliantly smooth as we normally sound.
Yeah, we're not.
But so we did that. Then the afternoon we
did a little discussion of Gene Wolfe's Going to the Beach. It's an unconnected story from 1973.
Yep.
It's pretty short, and I think it's a pretty cool little story, really. And that was good. I like that a lot.
Yeah, we thought that'd be a fun kind of thing, like get to talk about something that a lot of people hadn't read before. And James definitely collects the uncollected stories. How complete would you say your collection is at this
You'd
point?
be surprised. You'd think, as much as I have a lot of books here in this room I'm recording from, and I have everything that's in the trade magazines, that kind of thing. But there's still some one-off anthologies and such that I don't have.
But I would say a majority, right? I think you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm sure I have the majority of the uncollected.
Apart from Mark, who may have. Does Mark? I assume Mark has everything. I don't know.
I think he used to, but he said I think he got rid of a lot of his stuff.
Okay. But yeah, so we talked about that. We thought that'd be a great way to get it. It was kind of it's a good story. It's actually up. If you go to the Facebook page, you can see the story there. It's a fun little thing. It's kind of like it's in the same vein as Vorlesen.
Yeah, I think where it's kind of, if you try to put it into a whole world building thing, it doesn't quite fit.
Yeah,
but it has a little lesson, I guess, about the free market and business and jobs and what it means to be fulfilled in your work.
But that was fun. And then after that, Michael Swanwick stopped by, and he was willing to talk to us and sit down with our little group of people and spend an hour just kind of going over ideas, talking to people. That was fun. And Joan Gordon, by the way, Joan, who you hopefully remember, has been on the show a couple times, most recently with the Jolenta interview, but she's the person who wrote the very first book on Gene Wolfe. But it was great because she spent tons of time with us. She and Swanwick were able to talk about some memories of Wolfe, a little bit more personal things. Went beyond the interview that we had
Right.
From a while back. And that was really fun. And honestly, to me, that was the most enjoyable part of the whole weekend, was getting to spend time with these people who knew Wolfe, who had talked to him, who had worked with him, and just have some of their time. And everybody, Swanwick and Ada Palmer were so gracious to give out, especially Ada Palmer, because she was up for a Hugo on that night and was in demand from all kinds of people. And she and Swanwick both took time out to talk to us.
And then Stephen Frug led a discussion of Seven American Nights, which was really good. And, this reading, it'll come up much later, but this reading was eye-opening to me in a lot of other ways. So I really, really enjoyed it. I guess I get a lot out of a Wolfe story every time I reread them, but Frug just did a really excellent job of overseeing the discussion.
And was super helpful to all of us. So I just want to publicly say thanks to Frug for stepping up and doing that and helping us out with some sort of logistical stuff that happened during the weekend. So he was just incredibly helpful. So thank you.
And even after everything was over, we didn't schedule things for all night long or anything, but people would just sit around and continue to talk. And then we get around supper time and say, "Hey, you want to go out to eat?" So we go out to eat and continue to talk. And it was really, really, really enjoyable. And then
pizza one night, Chicago deep dish pizza one night, and then Thai another night.
Right, exactly. And then Friday night we watched Angel's Egg in my hotel room. That was I went by the Trekkies who had this whole big suite that they had, and I was thinking that's what we should do. We'll have to save up this time. We'll see how we do with the patron money and how much it costs. We'll get a big suite, so we have a room like we had, down in the down belows in the basements of the con. But we get our own suite up there, and then we can have a TV going, and we can live life as we want, as we were truly meant to.
But yeah, Angel's Egg was fun. That is a movie that I've actually liked for a long time. I heard about it first because of Wolfe stuff, that it's supposedly an anime film that was possibly, no one that I can find out knows for sure, but was possibly influenced by Wolfe. The director and one of the artists, one of the artists became the artist for the Japanese versions of Book of the New Sun. But the director went on to do work with Dark Souls, which is the video game that other people say sort of has a Wolfe vibe or things like that. But a very slow moving film. Very, very, especially
it's very artsy.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It is absolutely artsy.
And then when we talked to Ada Palmer on Sunday, but she graciously talked to us for an hour before the ceremony that she was going to go for the Hugos, which she was up for Best Series. And, someone says, "So we watched Angel Egg. Do you have any idea what that's about?" and sure enough, she has something to say about everything. People said, it's not like she came prepared to give a lecture, but she was just talking off the cuff.
Yeah. And Ada Palmer, if you don't know, she's actually a big manga anime. I want to say fan, but I think I should probably say historian, because she's actually published on various things.
Yeah.
And was able to give like this really cool contextualization of what Angel's Egg was in the process of like Japanese illustration and animation, trying to make a case really to Hollywood to say like animation should be the format that you use for fantasy and science fiction rather than, green screen and all that kind of stuff at the time. And which is kind of cool, because what happened in the long run was they're probably right. I mean, Marvel movies are probably more computer than live action.
Oh yeah, they're basically animation. I was thinking about it recently, that basically anything having to do with horror or action is just as much animation as it is live action.
Yeah. But the other fun thing that came out of that too is that Ada Palmer, the big series that she just finished this last year is called Terra Ignota, which is about 300 years in the future, about a different kind of political setup with a lot of interesting gender stuff that happens. But now she's working on a series of books that is set in and around Viking lore and the Eddas. But she talked about how if Terra Ignota was kind of set up in the way that Severian tells a story with a bit of an unreliable narrator and all kinds of different things that you're not sure of going on, her new series is more like the Latro books.
Right.
That's what she said, which is kind of fascinating and intentionally so. She said that it's sort of organized by what people remember, don't remember. Not that there's a character with no memory, but that she specifically had those books in mind when she was doing it, which is awesome. Yeah. And then Mark Aramini did a little zoom in for us, which was really fun. We got a lot of good talk in there. And I think what everybody remembered more than anything else was the back and forth between Mark and Joan Gordon.
Yes, that's right.
a bit of a different, I would say more a battle of temperaments rather than ideas.
Well, I mean, let's be honest. I mean, you've sat in on some of this, but it's basically Joan taking my role of whenever I'm talking to Mark. So, which I was very glad to have somebody finally, help with the important burden that I've carried all these years.
It was awesome. It was kind of like the battle between the one and the many, but focused on Wolfe. So Mark was like, there is a truth. And Joan was talking about
could be
multiple
more
ways
than
of
one.
things. Yep. It was awesome. It was fun though.
Yes.
A lot of good talk, and Mark had a fun little reading of, what's the Father's Day story in Castle of Days?
Adopted Father.
Yep. So, and then on Sunday, we had the official Gene Wolfe panel. It's still available for folk who went there. I'm going to try and do a screen capture and make that available to you guys.
We're going to jailbreak it.
Yeah, pretty much. And it's actually available now. Just check the Rereading Wolf YouTube channel. But it was great. Like around 40, 50 people showed up, which I think was honestly for a con panel, especially at 10 o'clock on a Sunday morning. That's great. And there was a lot of good discussion. Michael Swanwick and Joan Gordon were on the panel. And then there were two writers who I didn't know.
Peter Weimer.
And J.T. Greathouse.
That's right.
Both of whom talked about being very influenced by Wolfe. And it was we just had a really good conversation about, it was more high level stuff. We didn't really dig into specific works too much, but it was great. The people started throwing around lots of names of other folk who they knew were influenced by Wolfe or that would appeal to Wolfe fans. Good stuff. But that'll be up and available. And it was great. And okay, one thing I do have to say that I had a first at that, because right before the panel went on, somebody came up to me and looked at my name tag and was like, "Are you Weird Christmas?"
Turns out you forgot that you were a bigger celebrity elsewhere.
It's the first time ever that someone has actually come up to me and said, "Are you Weird Christmas?" So Mike Frasca, thank you so much. I know it's because of this. It's because of Rereading Wolfe and all that. And Mike does a lot of, he was kind of live blogging a lot of the different panels over the weekend and does a lot of reviews and a lot of things. But that did my heart good. It's the first time it's happened. It's the only time it's ever going to happen, but at least it happened. At least one. And then the other thing that happened Saturday afternoon, Brandon Buddha showed up. Yeah. And that was really cool that he was able to come and everybody just kind of chatted with him, asked a lot of questions about their process, about his way of doing things. And it was really cool because it definitely felt much more like, a big community of people who talk about the same things. We're about it. And, somebody joked afterwards, they like, I thought you guys were going to have to have like a face off or something like that. I'm like, no. It's not competitive at all.
It's like the Brady Bunch versus the Partridge Family.
Exactly. Yeah. But no, it was great. And it was really cool to meet Brandon and actually talk to him just about other stuff. And
he was a really nice guy.
We did do a little bit, but like when nobody else was around, we talked about sort of like, I was just really curious about their like recording ways and schedules and all that kind of stuff, but it's all just boring for anybody else. But that was really cool. And the big thing that happened was, last time I talked to him, he was like, you know what, you got a lot of people here. We've been kind of talking about wanting to do something like this forever. Let's work together. Let's make a big one, get sort of both groups together. And I mean, honestly, we know it overlaps. Most of you guys are listening to this.
I think it was Glenn who said that the Venn diagram of our podcast is pretty much a circle.
Pretty much a circle. So, but that would be really cool if we could get everybody together and do something. So that is not just a goal, but I think something that we're actively working on.
Yeah. Well, I mean, our output of episodes has decreased. I am well aware of this, and to some extent, not entirely, it does. It takes a lot of your mental energy just looking forward to something like this, and so it'd be nice to have someone, take up some of the extra stuff, the extra weight, finding a venue, picking out the places we're going to go, deciding what we're going to talk about. More hands make light work.
Absolutely. So otherwise, let's see. Nathan Anderson, who I know a lot of you guys have seen his art, started over, I think more like 2 years ago, started posting some stuff. Yeah. On Gene Wolfe Facebook group. He was there. That was great. Funny.
He did our most recent 15-month patron sticker.
Yep.
Which is gorgeous. It's really gorgeous.
I had to ask him. I walked by him at one point, he was doing something else, and I saw him pull out of a bag a copy of Shadow of the Torture, and it was one of the first editions of Shadow of the Torture, the hardback. And James and I had been walking around the dealer's room earlier, and one of the stalls that had signed first editions and stuff like that had all 4 copies of the book The New Sun,
signed by Gene Wolfe and by Don Mates.
Exactly, signed by Gene Wolfe and Don Mates. And Shadow of the Torture itself, they were asking $1,200.
$1,200.
So I saw that and I couldn't help but ask him, I'm like, did you pick up that insanely expensive? He's like, no. This is just a first edition, not signed.
Just a mere first edition.
But I was, for a moment, I was jealous. I'm like, how much do artists make nowadays?
He's rolling in the lap of luxury.
But the dealer's room was fun. There were lots of things down there.
I really enjoyed it.
I saw a copy of Gene Wolfe Archipelago was down there. That was floating around. Lots of first editions of things. Oh, that big sort of really cool boxed copy of Free Live Free was down there. That was one of the other things I've never actually seen in physical space before.
Yeah, that's a really cool edition. I can tell you that it's got the signatures of everyone involved, including Gene Wolfe. Yeah, but I don't have. I had never seen it in the box. That was one thing that kind of said, now I feel lesser than, because my edition doesn't have the box.
That was pretty cool. I saw there was one stall that had a bunch of R.A. Lafferty chapbooks. They had 3 or 4 just individual stories published by little tiny nano presses or whatever. They were asking over 100 for each one, so I didn't pick them up. But I did check, and I was like, do these show up somewhere else? But all 4 of them are things that I've never seen in any collections before. So yeah, there was a lot of fun stuff. And as it would be, the dealer's room at Worldcon is going to have all kinds of cool things.
Right.
So, and we each picked up some fun stuff. I got a Barry Malzberg that I've always read about and but was never able to find. It had never been reprinted, and it was originally published by Arkham House, and saw a lot of people picking up old paperbacks that were original paperback versions of Jack Vance and Wolfe and all kinds of stuff.
And every time I would go to the dealer, someone would say, I'm going to the dealer's room. Hey, I'll go with you. So and inevitably, no matter who I'm going with, they're going to say, oh, you need to read this guy. Oh, well, okay. If you say so.
Yep.
Nothing I need, like a new book.
Yeah, I definitely didn't spend as much as I could, but that's because my kid just started college. So. Otherwise, I would have been asking for forgiveness instead of permission from Amber later on. But I had to be the responsible father.
Speaking of which, I gotta say, this would have been impossible for us to pull off. The airfare, the hotel room for the weekend, or memberships, without the help of the patrons. So
yep.
It's not that, we just would have never considered it properly.
Yep. Yeah. No, I mean, it's easy to say like, oh, you guys made it easier by doing it. But no, I mean, what's great was with Patreon, we were able to pay for our memberships. We were able to get James up there, have the hotel room for 4 nights, 5 nights, 4 nights.
Yeah.
And we picked up the tab on pizza one night and stuff like that. I mean, all kinds of little things like that. Just to the patrons, thank you very much. It's absolutely going to get used for our planning for the next one. Yeah. It's not just going to James collecting uncollected.
No, I was doing that long before I started doing this.
No. But no, it was really cool. Like, it just felt like, our intentional attempt to try and get people to talk more. And we always say we tried to copy a little bit of the old Earth list with what we do here. And it was just really cool to have everybody come together. It wasn't like you and I were just talking the whole time. It really was. One thing we didn't do, by the way, that was again intentionally designed to get people going, was I told people the first day, I was like, okay, there's going to be one section where it's all participant panel and you guys have to come up with stuff to talk about, whether it's a paper or an essay or an idea or something. We didn't do that. So
because everyone the entire time was full.
Everybody was talking.
We've all been to, I'm going to go to one of these convention things. I'm going to go by myself.
Yeah.
And I'm going to stand around and feel awkward the whole time.
Yeah.
No, that's not how it was at all. So.
Yeah. No, everybody hopped in, made friends. It was great. But if you were there this time and you come whenever we go to the next one, you're not off the hook. You have to present something, and I'm going to even make it a little more formal.
Make a paper or something.
I have a list of your names. I know who was there. So I'm going to make sure to put you guys on the hook for presenting something whenever we do our next little Wolfecon. So keep that in mind. Yeah. So great. Otherwise, I mean, if you guys have any questions, if you have any suggestions for, reasonably big cons in your area, or, anything at all about what would be fun to do at the next one, we'd love to hear it because we had such a good time. We absolutely want to do it again. Like I said, we're already planning or trying to plan for where and when. And I just had so much fun. I want to do it again. So
I learned how, got to learn how things work at the Worldcon, like the Hugos, and how voting works and that kind of thing. So when you do the nominations and that kind of thing. So that was, it was very illuminating. Someone pointed out what we were done and said, after it only took like 33 nominations to become a Hugo nominated fan cast.
Yeah, because they give out the details afterwards, and Austin Beeman said, you only would have needed 33 or 34 to be nominated.
So yeah, everyone who's there now gets to vote for that next year and gets to nominate. And if you sign up for a membership next year, you can also nominate and vote. So
yeah, you don't have to go to China.
That's right. You can say, watch, you know what, maybe we should plan. We'll have to think about this. If we plan to do the next one at the same time as the one in China, the same, have overlap dates, and we can just plan for one evening. We all sit around and watch the Hugo Awards.
True.
Yeah.
Or we could do one about 4 months before that and have everybody sit around and nominate us.
That's right. Okay, I want to see your nomination papers before you leave.
But I mean, honestly, I don't know. I feel a little weird doing the hey, let's organize a campaign. At the same time, I mean, dude, all of us have seen, Hugo Award winner, Hugo nominated. I mean, that would be so cool. If something like that. I don't think we could win because we're way too niche. But
yeah, that was the other thing that was illuminating, is that how easy it is to get nominated and how hard it is to actually win. I mean, Ada Palmer, I think he said, came in fourth in the votes. That doesn't make any sense at all.
Yeah. So, but you know what? Why not? Why not?
Go ahead. Get your memberships now.
So maybe more information about that later. And you do get virtual access to everything, by the way, too. So you get to see all the panels and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And then, you can see, some podcasts that you listen to regularly and get nominated. And, if you're there at the next con and you say, hey, got your nomination, I'll say, great, here, have a pizza. And
and hey, we're trying to include everybody.
Yeah.
A vote for us is not just a vote for James and I.
That's right. It's a vote for everybody. We all
everybody.
win.
So anyway, fun to think about. Why not? Plus, it gets Gene Wolfe's name out there because the name will be there. And that was one cool thing I thought. I had Joan Gordon sign my copy of her book, and the one note she put on there was keep getting his name out there and keep getting his name alive. So I'm like, yep, absolutely. So that was the con. It was awesome. I've never organized anything like that before. And so this is other thing that kind of hit me was, I mean, I went to grad school straight out of college, and I've always in one way or another been part of the academic world. This weekend was what I had always hoped academic life of the mind kind of stuff would
You thought
be like.
you guys would all just sit around and debate philosophy around the table.
And about things that we loved, about books that moved us and really meant something to us. And
let's go get pizza and talk about obscure books.
I mean, I've had moments like that, but I was telling a buddy of mine who, is a professor up in Connecticut, and I'm like, you know what? This weekend was what I always hoped academia would be like, and it's never quite lived up to that. But sitting around and doing stuff where people are walking by dressed as stormtroopers or whatever, that was it. So it was
you know what, I will commit. I'm going to commit something. Next time we do one, I'm going to
don't be shirtless. Don't be the shirtless.
Come on,
burger.
No, I could be. Well, Gerlo's, I think he's like barrel chested. I don't think I can pull that off, but I can definitely pull off Palamon. So
Mark could pull it off. Mark could pull off the shirtless thing, but
okay. Well, we'll tell you what. If Mark shows up, I'll give him. I'll forego and give him my cape instead, and then he can do it. And then that might encourage him to show up for the next one.
So hopefully that little recap has inspired you to want to come to the next one whenever we do it. So we'll figure that out. But yeah, if you have ideas, if you have suggestions for places, for things to do, for cons, for even us, a spot that we could do it on our own and do something, let us know. Any feedback on that would be great. But start thinking too, because I think the World Fantasy Convention in Kansas City is in November. That's more than a year away. But, if we could figure something out in the next year, that'd be awesome.
Right.
So thank you to everybody who showed up, everybody that we met in person. Almost everybody was someone I've interacted with in one way or another. So it was great to get voices connected to faces, or email addresses, or text or whatever to faces. Really cool people that we're still in touch with and talking to. It was really cool. So thank you so much to those of you who were able to attend. Thanks to everyone who might be thinking about it next time. Mm-hmm. And we're going to do it. I don't know what we got to call it. We got to call it.
That would be, well, I think
Con of the Conciliator, Claw of the Con. Claw of the Con.
Yeah.
I know you said you're waiting for Long Sun. So
that waiting for the Con of the Long Con. So.
But good. But anyway, we'll get back to it soon. We're going to finish the play. We promise. It's been a little bit off, and then get back to finishing Claw. And we're halfway through the original thing. Almost. We're getting there. So close. I mean, James actually even sent me a piece of his summary of Claw of the Conciliator already. So
I've been working on that for quite a while, actually. Yeah. Because all of my, when I started this volume, much of what I thought about various characters has completely changed or been appended to things I knew nothing about. I now think I know everything about. So
it's coming. Progress will be made, and we'll be done with the play, and you can actually hear about Severian again very soon. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
And we'll be back with actual talk about Book of the New Sun next time.
Yeah, and may have more for you.
Please take your seats and clear the aisle. This convention will now come to order.
Mr. Speaker!
The chair recognizes the delegate from Hip City.
The American Federation for Preservation of Rock and Roll. We're meeting tonight to set ourselves a goal. To keep the joints on jumping, to keep the rhythm thumping. If you like your music swinging, if you go for jazz, you're singing, we'll keep it that way every day.
Will a sergeant with arms kindly stop the dancing in the upper balcony?
Mr. Speaker! Mr. Speaker!
We will now have a report from the nominating committee.
We nominate Alice Presney for our permanent president. Put Storano was on the floor. Can you tell me where he went? Those cats will send you if you want to be sent. Our meeting halls are for having balls. There ain't no place for squares. You can come along on your own, playing quartets or trios or bands. The American Federation for Preservations of Rock and Roll. We're meeting tonight to satisfy your soul. We guarantee good rocking, we guarantee good rolling. We'll keep it that way every day. Mr. Chairman and delegates, we'll rock and roll these 48 states. Let's take our platform to the nation with the help of jocks on every station. We'll have a swinging population. They'll all be happy, young and old, when they pull that lever for rock and roll.
Anything that we forgot?
Probably, yeah, definitely.
Amy.
The problem is you named your dog Amy.
And Amy Winehound is actually her name, according to Amber. So, but, okay, she should stop in a second. But I could tell I was super kind of self-conscious about stuff, and I was also like, I want to let other people talk if they want to. And so there were things in the whole first part I was like, I could say something about that, but I want to see if other people have anything to say. And I was like, and it was like, I'm like, this is off. this isn't
and
us.
also, yeah, and no, yeah, it's we've gotten very used to talking to each other. I mean,
yeah, I know.